CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Though it certainly doesn't feel like the month of December here in Buffalo. Temperatures just under 50 degrees. And how about this? First time that there has been no accumulated snowfall in Buffalo as of December the 5th in 116 years. There's Rex Ryan, first season as the Bills head coach. His honeymoon period here long having ended, as they'll try to rebound from that heartbreaking loss in Kansas City last week. And they'll have to deal with some key players out. We mentioned the right side of their offensive line, Seantrell Henderson, illness, and John Miller out second straight game with the ankle injury. Also, Nigel Bradham, key part of their defense, sidelined today. There's Bill O'Brien. I don't think has gotten enough credit nationally for the turnaround he has orchestrated. And we were in that in Miami for that Week 7 game, Solomon, where they gave up the 41 points in the first half. Everyone, the entire league, basically left them for dead at that point.
Well, it was such an abysmal performance that day on the road in Miami, where you talked about it. Gave up a ton of big plays in that game. It was poor tackling. All they've done with the Houston Texans, they went back to putting the pads back on once a week. They've transformed their football team, and despite losing Arian Foster, they're playing great in all phases of the game.
Rex Ryan winning the toss. Defers and will put his defense on the field to start. The kick from Jordan Gay, fielded by Keith Mumphrey. Right around his goal line, crosses the 20. And decent field position for Brian Hoyer and the Houston Texans. You see what Hoyer has done, 2+ touchdowns in 6 of the last 7 games he's played, and 4-2 as Houston's starting quarterback this season.
Well, they have to be able to rely on Brian Hoyer in terms of making checks at the line of scrimmage, getting them into the right play, whether it's a run play or passing play. But he's going to have to do it with a ton of crowd noise here at Ralph Wilson Stadium against a defense that they're expecting to improve over the next 5 weeks.
Hopkins goes in motion. Play action from Hoyer on 1st and 10. Fires far side of the field. Off target, and boy, was nearly picked as that one hit Darby right in his hands. A penalty marker thrown.
The face, offense number 76. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, look at the coverage by Ron Darby. Had he been looking, that ball was right on his shoelaces. Nearly intercepted by the rookie cornerback, and that's something that Hoyer has to be able to do. He's got to protect the football today. If you start turning it over, bad things can happen on the road. And remember, they've had to replace some people on their offensive line today, so they can't get off to this bad start with the penalties.
That's Dwayne Brown, the man who was penalized, the 2-time All-Pro. And so the penalty sets them back inside the 15, where they will face a 1st and 20. This is Alfred Blue, making his 5th consecutive start in place of Arian Foster, who of course was lost for the season. Salmon mentioned one of their starters up front going down today. Brandon Brooks was a scratch, fell ill after he arrived at the stadium. So Ode Ibushi makes his 5th start of the season. And what more can be said about Deandre Hopkins, the former Clemson star? Lining up across the field today from his old college teammate, Sammy Watkins. Hopkins last season, just 5 catches, 36 yards, by far his least productive day of the season. Hoyer over the middle, completes. That's the tight end, C.J. Fedorowicz, the second-year man out of Iowa, and former 3rd-round pick, tackled by Nickel Roby, a pickup of 8. How about the defensive starters, this unit that has been maligned? They get Mario Williams back, did not play last week at Kansas City with a foot injury. Tony Stewart makes the start, his first NFL start in place of Nigel Bradham, who's out today due to injury. And Ronald Darby, who we already have touched on, one of the few games last week where we've seen Darby struggle. Certainly a candidate for the NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Here come the Bills on 3rd and 9. Hoyer, no choice but to just throw it away. And so Buffalo's defense able to get off the field, and Houston will punt.
He was feeling the pressure. He had to throw it early. Stephon Gilmore locked up man-to-man coverage against the intended target, DeAndre Hopkins. for Buffalo today, it really is going to be about pressure on the quarterback, tight coverage on the back end.
Shane Leckler, one of the best punters in the NFL, playing in his 218th consecutive game. That leads all active NFL players. Excellent field position, and a rare time you see Leckler not get all of it. Just 34 yards on the punt. As Tyrod Taylor comes onto the field, they'll have it for the first time outside their own 40-yard line. And now a couple of late penalty markers were thrown on the near side of the field just as Taylor was coming on the field.
Illegal touching of the kick. Houston. Player went out of bounds, came back in, was first to touch a kick. 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
They're calling it number 31, Charles James, at the bottom of the screen. He's going to come down here, but watch. Looks as if he goes out of bounds on his own. And so once you come out of bounds, you cannot be the first person to touch the ball. Be the second, but you can't be the first. And he went out of bounds on his own, so that's what renders him illegal to touch the ball.
So Taylor under center. They pick up J.J. Watt, just able to kind of chip him at the last instant to free up Lashon Mccoy, who moves inside Houston territory after a pickup of 5. We mentioned the injured players absent. Craig Urbik, a longtime veteran starter in the NFL, up, as is Jordan Mills, his first start as a Buffalo Bill. And Lashon Mccoy, 3-time Pro Bowler, has gone for 100+ scrimmage yards in each of the last 5 weeks. On 2nd and 5, draw play, McCoy trying to find the edge on the sweep play. You see Woods get tangled up with the defender on the far side of the screen. Brian Cushing there on the tackle. J.J. Watt, the otherworldly defensive star for Houston, leads the NFL with his 13.5 sacks. And how about Brian Cushing playing some of the best football we've seen from him in the last couple of years after a number of injuries? And Kevin Johnson, we've touched on Ronald Darby. We've got 2 of the top rookie cornerbacks in the NFL in this game today. Well, this has been the area defensively where the Texans have made their biggest leap on 3rd down, holding their opponents to 26% conversion rate. On 3rd and 3, McCoy with the extra gasp, able to lunge across that first down marker, picks it up after a run of 6 to move the chains.
Yeah, take a look at the center. Look at this. That's going to be Eric Wood. He's getting out in front. Felton, he's able to cut off Cushing, and then Wood pulling. Very rare to see a center pulling out on the edge. But when you lose John Miller, the right guard, he's out. Craig Urban ends for his stead. They're going to use Wood to get out on the perimeter of the defense.
And now Mike Gillislee, whom they just signed off their practice squad this week, onto the field. And here he is, Gillislee with plenty of open grass in front of him. Still going and finally forced out of bounds. How about that way to introduce himself to this Buffalo fan base? 30 yards and a first down.
Yeah, watch him get out in front of this. Look at this. Again, they're pulling the center. Number 70, Eric Wood. They also were able to get Urbik out in front, and Cushing is in chase. But if the Bills can run the football on this Houston Texans defense, in my mind, it's the only way that they really stand a chance of winning against J.J. Watt and that defensive line. Remember, this is a Texans defense that's got 8 first-round picks playing on it and have been playing lights out the last 4 weeks.
First game that Gillislee has played since 2013, and now Tyrod Taylor lines up. Wildcat formation, Gillislee on the direct snap, but that Houston defensive front was not fooled, and it's J.J. Watt leading the charge. They dump him for a loss of 2.
When you're missing players up front on your offensive line, you don't want to be playing against the likes of J.J. Watt. Watch how he'll just jump underneath. He's just got such a knack, and his quickness and speed in terms of coming off the ball and off the line of scrimmage to get penetration. J.J. Watt, he'll light up that stat sheet. Look at that, 41 hits on the quarterback, leads the NFL tackles for losses. He lives in the opponent's backfield.
Watt last week, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 7 quarterback hits in the win over the Saints. 2nd and goal, here's Taylor probing the defense, going to tuck it away and run it himself. Trying to shake the defender, lunges inside the 5. and is finally brought down there by John Simon, one of the Houston backup linebackers. A run of 9, and it'll be 3rd and goal, Buffalo.
And this is what I was talking about from the outset of our game. And yeah, he's going to get over to that right side, but he, as his coach said, can't fall in love with being a pocket passer. You can break down defenses just like this by getting that kind of movement. It also allows the receivers to get open at the second level and uncover from the defender.
Biggest play so far early in this game, 3rd and goal. Taylor throwing, end zone, caught! Sammy Watkins for the Buffalo touchdown! And Watkins going right at the rookie corner, Kevin Johnson, to beat him for 6.
He was going to go there the entire time. Watch this. He's open right now. Just cut it loose. 50-50 ball, one-on-one with the rookie Johnson. You expect Sammy Watkins to win in those situations. Now they got to keep finding a way to feed him the football and not allow him to not catch the ball or have any targets in the second half of the game. Expect him to see plenty of action here today.
6th receiving touchdown of the season for Watkins. That ties his total from all of last season. Understand Carpenter missed his 3rd extra point of the season last week, but this time it is good. So Buffalo marches down the field. 7 plays. They cap it on the touchdown pass to Watkins. Sammy Watkins barking all season long for more targets. Had that monstrous first half performance in Kansas City last Sunday. Just 1 target in the second half, but this is the start that he and the Bills, Solomon, were looking for.
Well, they rushed for 50 yards on that drive. That tells you that they intend to run the football today. They know they have to run the football.
Booming kick by Gay, and Hoyer and company will have it from the 20 when we come back on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Jared the Galleria of Jewelry. The gift you'll treasure forever. And by Dodge. Come discover great deals during Dodge Performance Days.
Well, this was Texans center Ben Jones earlier this morning, just before 9:30. This is his usual pregame routine, going back to his days as a high school football player. He will walk the field in his bare feet just to kind of get a feel for the stadium and get himself ready to go. Texans go to the Wildcat here on 1st down. Bills defense was there, and we've seen a lot of those trick gadget plays from Houston since the departure of Arian Foster. I'll be there for the most legendary party of the year. Carrie Underwood, Lady Gaga, Sam Smith, and many more celebrate the 100th birthday of the one and only Sinatra. An all-star Grammy salute you don't want to miss tonight, 9/8 Central, only CBS. Second offensive possession for Houston, 2nd and 9, just outside the 20. Over the middle, completes to his tight end again. That's Ryan Griffin, who had a touchdown catch last week. Griffin hurting his MCL week 1, missed 9 weeks, and he has been a welcome addition, according to what Bill O'Brien told us for this offense.
He is a talented player. I think he gives them one more weapon in the arsenal in this offense, someone opposite of Deandre Hopkins, who they should be able to rely upon. He will give linebackers and safeties fits in coverage. He's quick, fast, and a big target over the middle.
Saw some pre-snap movement. Did Marcel Darius come across early? Multiple markers fly.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 99. Stepped into the neutral zone, causing an offensive player to break his stance. 5-yard penalty, and will create a 1st down.
There it is, Marcel Darius, right there. That kind of encroachment, they're saying that, how do you expect the offensive lineman not to move when you're coming up on me so quickly with such ferocity that I think it's impossible to ask an offensive lineman to not move in that situation.
Saw the penalties, 2nd most in the NFL. Well, that has been a storyline for this Rex Ryan coach team all season long. 1st and 10 after the penalty. This is Chris Polk. Crosses the 45. Polk still going inside Buffalo territory. Finally brought down by Darby from the back, but not before Polk gashes him for 20 and a Houston 1st down.
You know, Polk is no small guy. Take a look. He's going to roll right off the left side of your screen. Look at him getting to the next level. Aboshi, really good block, and then breaking tackles there. Both safeties missed. Corey Graham, Kari Rambo.
On 1st and 10, they give it to Polk again. There was so much concern, Solomon, once Houston lost Foster at the end of that Week 7 game in Miami, but they have gone now to 3 different backs. The only team in the league are the Texans. They actually have 4 running backs with 30-plus carries this season.
Yeah, that's just called getting it done. And we talked to their head coach, Bill O'Brien, about how they were able to turn it around. He said, we just have every single guy is playing much harder, playing better, and that's why we've been able to win 4 in a row.
Injured Houston Texan is Ben Jones. We'll get a timeout. Well, the good news is that Houston center Ben Jones was able to walk off on his own power. The bad news is that he was kind of clutching in his lower back. And so Xavier Suafilo, the second-year man out of UCLA, their former second-round pick, moves over from left guard to center. First time he's had to play that position this season. Chris Clark has come in from the sideline and now will play at left guard. On 2nd and 10, the pass is fired far side. It's complete to Nate Washington. Inside the 40, close to another first down. Ben Jones, their center, the only offensive lineman that has played every snap this season, as today plays in his 60th straight game, and here he is back on the field.
Yeah, and we've seen now on both teams, Spiro, where they've had to move around parts and pieces on the offensive line. I think it does break down your chemistry and the continuity, and I think it affects the consistency in which you've been able to play with over the last 4 weeks, particularly if you're talking about the Houston Texans. Now, 3rd and 1. Let's see if they have confidence enough in this offensive line to pound the run game.
Kendall Lamb, number 63, is reported eligible on 3rd and 1. Hoyer sells the play action well, and he's got Lamb wide open. We've seen them line him up in that position a couple of times this season. 7 yards and a first down to the big Kendall Lamb.
I love it. It's play action. Look, he's going to come off this side right here. See? You fake one way and then just reverse it and roll back the other way on that bootleg. He's open. You get the ball over Mario Williams. What a nice grab by Lamb.
Tough to bring Lamb down. As that'll set up Houston with a 1st and 10 just outside the Buffalo 30. Here is Polk. Good burst early in this game. So much talk about Rex's defense. Statistically, they have regressed in so many different areas. We know that they've had some injuries. Kyle Williams has been the heart and soul out for the season, but a lot of questions that Rex has had to answer for this unit.
Yeah, many of the players, when you talk to them, they talk about having to play maybe different positions, moving inside when they love to play on the edge, dropping back in coverage when they prefer to chase the quarterback. Mario Williams told us he's trying to be patient within the system, but yet he said if you're winning games, it makes it easier to buy in when coaches are asking you to do something different.
Trying to be as diplomatic as he can. 2nd and 7, Hoyer takes a shot. Far side of the field, Darby on a very tight coverage against the rookie Jalen Strong. Darby as good as there is as a rookie cornerback in the NFL.
Darby is a former track star at Florida State. Also is a really good football player. There's no doubt about it. And, since he's come in, he's bought into the coaching. They've asked him to take on some of the best receivers one-on-one. And with his speed, I think what he has brought to it is a no-fear zone. He gets up and he'll jam and bump some of the best receivers in the game.
Third and 7. This is Jonathan Grimes getting his first carry. First down and more. Grimes still going. Taking seemingly the entire defense for a piggyback ride. Inside the 15, down to the 10. Grimes picks up 18 and a first down.
Jones is back in at center. This offensive line, they're churning it out. They're getting movement up front against this Buffalo Bills defense. And you can see whether it's Grimes, whether it's Polk, they're gashing this defense right now running the football.
Second longest run of the season for Grimes, the 30-year man out of William and Mary. 1st and 10. This is Grimes again, trying to find the edge, cuts back inside the 10. As he picks up a couple, and that'll set up a 2nd down coming up, tackled by Jerry Hughes.
We talk about this team taking advantage of their second chances after that miserable game they played Week 7 on the road in Miami. Offense struggled, the defense struggled, and you try to put your finger on how this team has been able to turn it around. Even after losing Arian Foster in that very game, you have to look at the energy in which they're playing. Look at this, quick play.
Cut strike, far side of the field, it's the tight end Griffin, and he just waltzes in for the touchdown.
Now, I can tell you right now, they caught everyone off guard. The defense wasn't ready. No one was ready. Quick snap over to Hoyer, and he does a smart thing. Watch, he'll just throw this ball right out here for a touchdown. Look at the defense. No one's out there defending. This is an easy one. Spiro, I think you could have made that throw for a touchdown. Called him off guard. That's the intelligence at the quarterback position they were talking about.
The thing that Rex is arguing is that the left side of the line of scrimmage, some of those Texans players were not set. And I'd say he's got a pretty good argument. Keep your eye on Nate Washington, 85, left side here, as we'll have the point after first. But that has been a point of emphasis for NFL officials.
They're going to look at it.
Every scoring play subject to automatic review.
How about this? Didn't we talk to Bill O'Brien about this very same thing in the meeting yesterday? I asked him. I said, are you talking to the officials about how long you have to be set?
The question was about the substitutions that occurred. Houston substituted into the huddle. Therefore, Buffalo is not allowed an opportunity to match up.
All right, so there you have the explanation. Rex still looks confused. So it looks as though that touchdown by Ryan Griffin will stand. And just not a good look when your defense was not set. As this defensive unit caught off guard. Point after by Nick Novak is no good. He misses wide right. And so the Bills will maintain a lead at a point. Under 4 minutes to play, you're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by In the Heart of the Sea, in theaters December 11th. And by McDonald's, teaming up with the NFL like never before.
All right, so the Ryan Griffin touchdown stands. Texans missed the point after with Nick Novak, and so a 1-point lead for the Buffalo Bills. Rex Ryan talking to the officials during the break. Kind of a confusing situation. A quick snap by Hoyer. Buffalo's defense was not set. And there's no rule that stipulates that the defense should be given opportunity to substitute in that situation, so the touchdown is upheld. Here's Marcus Thigpen, crosses the 25, run out of bounds just shy of the 30. We'll bring Mike Carey in when we come back. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50.
All right, here's a replay of the Ryan Griffin touchdown. We're going to bring in Mike Carey, our officiating expert. Mike, tell us what Rex was complaining about and why the touchdown was upheld.
Well, there are a couple of things. This is pretty complex. So to be able to be protected from a substitution, the substitute has to be substituted into the huddle and have a quick snap or substituted into the formation. In this case, he was in the huddle for more than a second. So the defense is not protected in that situation. There was a illegal shift, though, that should have been caught.
All right, that's Mike Carey, our officiating.
That's not reviewable.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. Rex feeling as though the official should have held up the snap, but that was not the case, and the touchdown stands. Here's a first down run by Tyrod Taylor. So we finally sort through what a lot of these fans were confused about, and it's a 1-point game here in Buffalo.
And you know, Rex has been on the fire all week for not challenging multiple plays last week in the Kansas City game that many of the fans and people at home, we had a better look at it than he did on the road at Kansas City. But they felt he should have challenged those games. He's been 4 for 4 in challenges here at home, but 1 of 4 while on the road.
Shotgun taken by Taylor, and here's McCoy. Breaks a tackle, first down running more. McCoy still going inside the Houston 40, getting downhill where he is so deadly. Finally brought down by the rookie Kevin Johnson. McCoy, 32 yards and a Buffalo first down.
And how about this? McCoy is able to break it and then watch him bounce outside. Look at that. Just the quickness and the speed to be able to get around the corner, and then the outside linebacker, number 51, John Simon, could not contain it. We said he's very slippery when he gets to the second level. A lot of shake in the game of Lashon Mccoy.
See where McCoy sits in terms of rushing yardage in the AFC. Mike Gillislee, who had the 30-yard run earlier, gives him a blow. Here he is on a draw play, ducks inside the 35 and tackled after a pickup of 3. Coming up Thursday night, only on NFL Network this week, it'll be the Vikings and the Cardinals in a monstrous showdown between two of the NFL's best. Thursday Night Football, Thursday, 8 Eastern Time this week, only on NFL Network. There is J.J. Watt as Buffalo once again will go to the Wildcats. Second time we've seen this formation. Direct snap to McCoy, and then they give it to Taylor. Taylor takes his shot, trying to find Watkins, but what a job by the back end of that Houston defense. Not fooled. It'll be 3rd and 7.
Quentin Dips saved the touchdown. He was able to run over and cut off. Watch, you're going to see this is going to be Watkins, and then Dips going to come over here and cut him off. He's coming over late, but watch him go over and get back there. Look at the recovery speed to cut off Watkins to not allow him to the corner of the end zone. Didn't interfere with him, but had the speed to cut him off and keep him from getting to the point where he could catch the football.
There's Greg Roman, first year here in Buffalo. Last 4 years as San Francisco's offensive coordinator. 3rd and 7. This is the tight end, Charles Clay. His first catch. They've got the first down and more. Inside the 25, brought down after a pickup of 11 as Buffalo moves the chains again.
How about Greg Roman dialing up some nice little plays? We had some Wildcat, got ourselves a tight end screen to Charles Clay. Good blocking out in front. And that was just, I think, just a well-designed play set up very well. They've had a lot of misdirection type plays to keep J.J. Watt and Romeo Crennel's defense off balance.
What a job Romeo Crennel has done, a man who's been coaching in the NFL for 33 years. The defensive turnaround since that Week 7 game in Miami. But right now his defense on its heels, 1st and 10. McCoy bounces outside again. Inside the 15. Boy, so much concern about how they would deal with 2 starters on their offensive line out today, Sam. But so far, this Bills offense moving up and down the field.
One thing about it, they're doing a good job of blocking on the perimeter. I want you to watch Charles Clay. Watch how he gets down the field. Look, pins the edge there. Kick out by Cordy Glenn. And look at Charles Clay. He's just bowling over people, blocking 2 and 3 at the 2nd and 3rd level of this defense. And so when you get that kind of blocking from your receivers and your tight ends, you're going to be able to gash the defense with the run game.
On 2nd and 1, McCoy brought down. What a play by Jadeveon Clowney. As they've been waiting for this kid to have that breakout signature moment. Excellent play. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Every now and then he shows up. Look at this play. He'll come underneath the fullback, Jerome Felt, to be this big and this quick. Take a look at that. Just comes over the top and then gets the arm underneath McCoy to make that tackle. That's a rare play made at the NFL level.
Only his 14th career game. McCoy on a direct snap stumbles inside the 10, and it will be 1st and goal Buffalo as Incognito and Clowney get tangled up. After the play, that will take us to the end of the 1st quarter. Well, you could feel the intensity between these 2 teams. Buffalo trying to keep their fading postseason hopes alive, and the Houston Texans chasing the Colts in the AFC South. End of the 1st in Buffalo. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Look at what the Bills offense has done with the ground game through just 1 quarter today. This is where the Texans defense, Salmon, has been so good during their 4-game winning streak.
Yeah, but Greg Roman is dialing them up in the run game for the Bills today.
A lot of misdirection. Already 4 Wildcat formations in this game for the Bills. Here is Taylor trying to find the edge. Ducks inside the 5. Lunges end zone, and he's in for the touchdown. What a play by Taylor. Running it in from 8 yards out.
We have said all along that Tyrod Taylor, I tell you what, he's a weapon. He can run it. And look, Simon can't hold on, and then he's able to stick that ball across the pylon before Quentin Dips can get there. Did he stay in bounds? Tightrope. Look at the talent. Rex Ryan said this kid's got some magic about him. They wanted to use his mobility in today's game. We've already seen him dial up some nice run plays for him to get out of the pocket, and now he's able to get into the end zone.
And with that play, Taylor passes Rob Johnson, now has the 2nd most rushing yards in a season by a Bills quarterback, trailing only Doug Flutie now, who ran for 476 back in 1999. Taylor now at 309 for the season. One of the biggest plays he's made as Buffalo's starting quarterback this season. Point after from Carpenter, good, as the Bills extend their lead to 8.
And how about this? They get 100 yards rushing in the 1st quarter alone, but when they can run the football, they are very good. They've topped 100 yards rushing in 9 of their 11 games coming into today. You can see Gillespie, he's able to run the ball and get to the second level of the defense. They're using the escapability and mobility of their quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. And then how about the shake and shimmy of Lashon Mccoy? You cannot forget about him. But when they rush for 100 yards, they stand an excellent chance of winning ball games. You can see a variety of people who've carried it today, whether it's McCoy, Gillespie, or Taylor. They're still able to be effective. And I just think Greg Roman does a really good job of dialing up what we call a multiple run scheme to help Rex Ryan's offense to be productive.
Gillespie, guy who they signed just this week off their practice squad, so everyone getting in on the party for Buffalo as they open up a 14-6 lead opening seconds of this second quarter. Party-like atmosphere so far here at the Ralph. Better than 60,000 for this Week 13 battle that has all kinds of postseason implications. Well, the Buffalo Bills are nominating their center Eric Wood for this year's Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award. Eric has been an active figure in the community here with the Eric Wood Foundation, which launched just last year. It provides life-changing experiences to children in need. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award will be announced on February the 6th right here on CBS.
Wood's already doing a good job on that offensive line. We talked about the rushing yards for the Bills. Wood at that center position has been pulling out in front of many of those run plays.
Here is Hoyer, who made his return from the concussion last week. He missed the Jets game 2 weeks ago. Keep it on the ground to Polk. Crosses the 25 and brought down at the 26. To New York in an update with JB.
Giants have won the last 5 meetings, trying to get it done today.
How about Dwayne Harris, who receives the ball inside the numbers? That's Jet punter Ryan Quigley punting it down the middle of the field. Harris makes a couple moves down the left sideline, cuts back against the grain. This was the first play of the second quarter there, JB. Dwayne Harris goes in for 6, 7-3 Giants.
Solomon Wilcots kind of moves back to Spiro and Solomon.
Still can break it down, JB.
2nd and 4, Hoyer with the pressure in front of him, slings it and completes, and then it comes loose. Caught by Cecil Shorts. And let's see what the officials rule here. It appeared as though he had possession and had made the catch.
Looked like he had possession and a football move hit the ground, then the ball came out. So yeah, they're going to take a look at it. This one is reviewable. They're having a conference about it.
Ball went out of bounds. Let's see what they
ruling on the
decide
field
here.
was a completed catch down by contact at the 42-yard line. First down.
All right, so you cannot advance the football on a fumble, so they will spot it right where it came loose out of the hands of Shorts.
Yeah, he had several steps, and then the knee had been down, and then the ball comes out. It happened right in front of Rex Ryan, so I have to believe he saw enough of it maybe not to challenge it.
So a 16-yard pass play to Shorts sets up a 1st and 10 outside the 40. Good pickup on the pass protection. First catch of the day for Deandre Hopkins. What a matchup we've been looking forward to between those two all week. Darby, the rookie, and Deandre Hopkins, who leads the league in targets at 144 on the season.
And Hopkins knows he's going up against the 2 good corners, and Stephon Gilmore and here Ron Darby. But he's also kind of paying attention to what Sammy Watkins is doing. Already has himself a touchdown in this game today. Both guys start together at Clemson, and they're competing against one another.
Hopkins already over 1,000 yards for his 2nd straight season. On 2nd and 3, this is Polk. He's been a battering ram already. Penalty marker thrown behind the play.
Holding, offense number 78. 10-yard penalty, and repeat 2nd down.
That's Ode Ibushi making the start for Brandon Brooks, who was a late scratch this morning. He fell ill. And Ibushi making the start, whistled for the penalty.
There he is, coming in right there. Look at the hand to the face right there of Jerry Hughes. Had that right hand right in his face mask.
And Brandon Brooks, their usual starting right guard, arrived with the team early this morning at the stadium. Complained of feeling sick to his stomach. They brought him to a local hospital here by ambulance. And so immediately was scratched by Bill O'Brien.
And you can see Hoyer getting a read on that defense, checking them into the more preferable play based on the defense.
Play clock down to 2. Hoyer on 2nd and 14, completes over the middle. It's Shorts again. Inside Buffalo territory, very close to another first down. They pick up 14 yards as Shorts making his presence known, and now the officials say first down Houston.
Yeah, it's very rare that the Texans are going to run a play, whatever send in from the sideline. But Hoyer has the ability to what we call check with me at the line of scrimmage. Based on the defensive look he's going to get, he could check to an entirely different play.
So George Godsey, their offensive coordinator, coming over with O'Brien from New England. Alfred Blue ducks inside the 45. And this is where their offense, and Brian Hoyer says he's been most comfortable in this hurry-up as they pick up the pace, Solomon, calling these plays.
Yeah, and remember after that Miami game, they released Ryan Mallett, who had missed the plane that day. And I think that helped this team sort of crystallize because they really had to settle in on Hoyer. And then the coach went and apologized to the rest of the team that he didn't make that decision earlier in the season.
Here's Hoyer, play action on 2nd and 7, under pressure and sacked. Jerry Hughes getting there for the defense.
Jerry Hughes, it's like a track star coming off that left corner. Look at the center. Look at Jones tried to spin out to come and blocking, but the speed of Hughes was too quick for the center, Jones, to be able to double back and kick out and protect his quarterback. Also coverage on the back end on Deandre Hopkins. But really, Hoyer had no time to throw the ball anywhere. Hughes was on him that quick.
Only the 17th sack for this defense that led the NFL last season with 54. Hoyer on 3rd and 17, slings it over the middle through the hands of Hopkins, and a rare drop by the Texans stud receiver as Houston will punt on 4th and long.
DeAndre Hopkins has, I think, some of the best pair of hands on any receiver that we've seen. He's got Beckham-like hands, but this ball's thrown a little bit behind him. He tried to adjust, look at him, try to turn back around, and then cradle it with his arms, was not able to haul it in. I think had he been able to catch it, he was just 1 yard shy of the first down mark.
Texans have the most drops of any team in the NFL. Much better punt this time from Leckler, and he does what he does so well. Pins the opposing team back deep on their side of the field. Now a late marker comes in. 40 yards on the punt from Leckler.
An eligible member of the kicking team downfield prior to the kick, number 28. Buffalo has accepted the option of taking the penalty at the end of the kick. First down.
Penalty charge to Alfred Blue. Bill O'Brien mystified on his side of the field. Tonight, our students being pressured into becoming confidential informants. A 60 minutes investigation plus a primate closer in DNA to humans than any other on Earth. Tonight, only CBS. Sparrow D to Simon Wilcots, rest of our CBS crew, Ralph Wilson Stadium here in Western New York. So far, this Buffalo offense looking very good, up 14-6. Lashon Mccoy crosses the 20. We get a penalty marker thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding, offense number 77. This penalty be assessed half the distance to the goal and remains first down.
It's Cordy Glenn on the penalty. So much talk about this rejuvenated defense, but so far this Bills offense has had their way with the Texans.
Oh, absolutely. You can see what Tyrod Taylor has done, led his team into the end zone on each of their first 2 possessions, and they've done it primarily by, I think, excelling running the football and converting third downs against J.J. Watt and his defense. They're the best third down defense in all of football, and as of late during the 4-game win streak, they've been great in their run defense.
1st and 19 after the penalty. We've seen a very creative Greg Roman with his play calling, and they have really had their way with the Texans defense. Look at the numbers by Houston during their 4-game winning streak, giving up under 9 points per game. Entering this game, they had given up 2 touchdowns, Solomon, in the last 18 quarters. It's amazing.
And already given up 2 here today. And, you know, can't say enough about Romeo Cornell and the job they've done over those last 4 games in terms of the run defense. And the third down defense only allowing teams to convert 21%. So far, The Bills have converted all 4 of their third down plays here today.
Good pass protection and some pressure at the end, right on the release by Taylor. McCoy complaining that he was interfered with by Whitney Merciless, who we had a chance to visit with last night at the Houston Hotel. Merciless saying this is the best that he's felt so far in his 4-year career.
Yeah, Brian Cushing is blitzing from that linebacker position, able to force the high throw from Tyrod Taylor to help with the coverage of Whitney Merciless. Lashon Mccoy not able to come down with it. Merciless did a good job, thought of covering a much faster and talented player out of the backfield. McCoy could be a headache for a linebacker in coverage.
Where does Taylor go here? Buffalo 4 for 4 on third down. They go to Boobie Dixon, just trying to get some positive yardage for their punter. And so the Bills will punt as we see this Houston defense able to get off the field. One other thing that Merciless talked about was how much Mike Vrabel has helped. He's their Houston linebackers coach, of course, a great 11-year run with the New England Patriots, won 3 Super Bowls, such a cerebral guy as a player. And Merciless says he's given me all the tools to kind of think about it and play faster. Colton Schmidt on for the punt. And a fair catch signaled by Mumphrey to give Brian Hoyer and his offense good field position just inside their 40.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Macy's, Land Rover, Above and Beyond, and by PlayStation 4, the best place to play.
Well, the skies have turned gray here over Ralph Wilson Stadium, but still mild temperatures, right around 46 degrees here in Western New York. And now the Texans go Wildcat. Direct snap. This is Shorts. We've seen him throw a touchdown pass as he slips up. Nice play by that Bills defense. Manny Lawson was there. How about the 2 star wide receivers? Only a catch between them, Solomon, but a big one by Watkins.
Yeah, and Deandre Hopkins, though, has found it difficult to create those big plays that he's become accustomed to. And Sammy Watkins, only 1 catch, but good enough for a touchdown to get his team on the scoreboard for their first touchdown of the day. We got to keep an eye on both these two. We expect fireworks.
Chris Polk flanks Hoyer on 2nd and 9. Griffin, the tight end, split out towards the bottom of your picture. Quick snap, quick strike over the middle. This is Nate Washington, dragged down from the back inside Buffalo territory. As the Texans are able to move the chains, they pick up 13. Hoyer to Washington.
This Texans offense, I think, still can evolve and become better. With all the attention that defenses show to DeAndre Hopkins, you know George Godsey wants Cecil Shorts, Nate Washington, Jalen Strong. Some of these other receivers have to be able to come through for Brian Hoyer.
You can do window. You can do window. Nate, these two. These 2 right here.
First and 10 throw from Hoyer. Once again goes right to Washington. Forced out of bounds just shy of the Buffalo 40 by Stephon Gilmore. NFL fans, order your holiday gifts from NFLshop.com today and save 20% at the official store of the NFL, NFLshop.com. 8-point lead for Buffalo. Bills start today a game back of the Texans and 3 other teams in the AFC for that final wild card spot. As Chris Polk inches towards the first down marker, Texans at 6-5. They could very well end the day, Solomon, in sole possession of first place in the AFC South. The Colts play in Pittsburgh tonight on Sunday Night Football.
Bill O'Brien, I think, is an impressive coach. You asked him last night about his time and spent at Penn State when they were going through such a real difficult period on that campus. When he had become the head coach, players were allowed to transfer. He said he learned a lot from those experiences.
Officials changed their mind and say first down. O'Brien said there's nothing that he could face that would be worse than what he had to contend with at Penn State, navigating that program through that incredible firestorm. And what a job he has done turning this Houston team around over the last 4 weeks. Timeout taken by the Texans on CBS. Well, Bill O'Brien upset with the officials. And so the play clock was not reset during that last sequence. So that forces Houston to burn their first timeout. And he still looks like there's some anger bubbling under the surface, which always seems to be the case with O'Brien. Fiery coach who's done such an incredible job leading Houston. 1st and 10. Hoyer under pressure, tucks it away, he's going to run it. Inside the 30, Hoyer's got the first down. Inside the 25, runs it about at the 22. O'Brien back in New England was nicknamed Teapot because they just never knew when he would explode. This was O'Brien last week after the Hoyer interception, and this was a scene in New England back in December of 2011. You see Hoyer there was the backup to Brady trying to pull his head coach away, or coordinator at the time. But the Teapot sound, one of our favorite nicknames that we've heard in the NFL over the past couple of years. And this was O'Brien during the last sequence, going right at the officials.
Trying to talk to him about the play clock. Said I shouldn't have to burn a timeout. He doesn't like the explanation. Hey, get away from Teapot. See now, there he goes. He's about to blow. Yes, and you know, if you give it to Tom Brady, the likes of, you know, Mr. Perfect, are you kidding me? Coach O'Brien's going to coach with the same passion, no matter what number you have on the back of your jersey.
91, leave it.
Second and 7, Hoyer completes. This is Grimes, who's had a big first half. Grimes still going. You see multiple markers come in at the end of the play. Boy, he has been a load to bring down. 17 yards if the play stands. Bakari Rambo on the tackle.
Love the way that kid runs. 5'10", 210. He's a load.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 84. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Well, Ryan Griffin, the tight end, is trying to, come in and help Jonathan Grimes out. You can see him on the right, number 84, downfield right there. I think right here, I think there's the block in the back right there. Didn't have to do that. I don't know that Grimes needed any help. Looked like he had it under control.
It's one of those penalties that'll drive a coach nuts. Really no bearing on the play as Grimes had already passed him on the field. Akeem Hunt, the rookie running back out of Purdue, onto the field and will flank Hoyer on 2nd and 5. Here come the Bills on the blitz. Hoyer, quick release, completes to Washington. Very close to the first down marker. Texans needed the 12, brought down by the rookie Darby as the clock continues to run. Just over 5 minutes left in the second.
Yeah, this is where the Houston Texans talk about this offense and needing to evolve and needing maybe their quarterback, as he's become a really good leader for this offense, but he's got to be able to convert these third down plays. More importantly, got to be able to convert down here inside the red zone. This is where one of the tight ends can be huge when you look like they're going to run it.
Third and less than a yard. Hoyer on the keeper. Again, needed the 12. Appears to have enough at first glance. No signal yet. And now the officials say first down, Texans.
Hoyer stealing a page from his mentor, Tom Brady. How many times have you seen Tom Brady do this? Remember, these coaches, Bill O'Brien, coach there in New England, does some of those same things. And talked about empowering the quarterback to make a lot of decisions at the line of scrimmage.
10th play of the drive for the Texans. Griffin in motion, the tight end. 1st and 10. Hoyer has time. Far side, he's got Polk wide open. Polk bangs off a defender, lunges end zone, and he's in for the Texans touchdown. What an effort by Polk on the catch and run, and Houston inches to within 2. And now a penalty marker comes in at the end of the play. You saw some pushing and shoving. Boy, these backup running backs for the Texans making some major contributions. Jonathan Grimes and Chris Polk, as we are inside of 4 minutes left in the half.
And they refuse to be
Ruling on the
tackled.
field is touchdown.
Yep.
At the conclusion of the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 10 on the offense. This penalty be enforced on the kickoff.
It's on Deandre Hopkins' first career receiving touchdown for Polk.
Polk was wide open from the beginning of this play. And look at Stephon Gilmore. He just doesn't wrap up, doesn't tackle. And then he gets some help from his teammate, 51 Kevin Riddick. He's going to come over right there. But they do rule it and call it a touchdown. Now, what happens after that, I'm not so sure our cameras caught it.
Hopkins mixing it up at the end of the play. It's an 11-yard touchdown reception. As Polk celebrates, a guy that Bill O'Brien has really liked, the replay booth upstairs confirming the touchdown. And so the Texans led down the field by Hoyer, 60 yards, 10 plays in just over 5 minutes. Novak missed his first point after attempt earlier. Is good this time to cut the Buffalo lead to a point. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Amazon Fire TV. Change the way you TV. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Well, such a proud Bills franchise here that is trying to end this long postseason drought. Currently stands at 15 years. Haven't been to the playoffs since 1999. They're a game out of that final AFC Wild Card spot. 11-yard touchdown catch, sorry, Salmon, from Chris Polk.
I'm just reminiscing of those great players and great coaches. Marv Levy, they dominated the late 80s and early 90s, going to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. They missed the good times here in Buffalo, and they're expecting them to come back under Rex Ryan.
Well, we were here for the opener against Indianapolis. This place was in a frenzy. But of course, the good feelings quickly turned in that Week 2 game against the Patriots, who came here, built that big lead. And the wild pendulum swings haven't stopped since that point. Marcus Thigpen able to cross the 25, a return of 19. Week 13 continues later today on Fox. And tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC, game that the Texans will be keeping tabs on, with Indy playing in Pittsburgh. And tomorrow, Monday Night Football on ESPN. Here was the taunting penalty on DeAndre Hopkins. You see him go right at Gilmore after the touchdown by Polk.
Yeah, but Gilmore was the one who made the initial shove. Don't know what DeAndre Hopkins said to him, so maybe there was a taunting call.
Hopkins, such a mild-mannered guy. Something you rarely see from him. 1st and 10. Taylor's going to sling it, take a chance, goes right down the field. He's got Watkins on the home run ball. 53 yards as Watkins once again beats the rookie Johnson.
Right here, there it is. Now watch, it's like a sprinter coming out of the blocks at the Olympics. He just runs down this ball thrown from Tyrod Taylor and finds a way to haul it in. He beat both the safety and the corner, Johnson, as well as Quentin Dibbs on that play.
And all the talk about J.J. Watt and this defensive front, this secondary for the Texans had been so good during the winning streak, allowing just 1 touchdown pass over their last 4. Bills burning a timeout, up a point. Well, Sammy Watkins to this point, just 2 catches, but boy, has he had some fireworks in him. A 53-yard snatch a moment ago.
Sometimes, you know, we say speed kills. I think that's a good illustration of it. There wasn't anything Johnson could have done on that play.
Watkins dealing with an ankle injury. Starting to get back to full strength. Lines up here, top of your picture against Jonathan Joseph. On 1st and 10, here is Lashon Mccoy inside the 15, down to the 12. And what a different back, Salmon, he's been. Had that hamstring injury in the middle part of August, and really took him 5 to 6 weeks to get to where he is right now.
Well, he's such an explosive player, very quick, sudden movement in terms of his ability to change direction. And, you know, having a hamstring player for someone like himself, it's like a car running on a blown tire. Very difficult. Now that he's healthy again, you can see the speed and that elusive ability coming back. But you can see last 6 games, well over 100 yards rushing.
Taylor from the shotgun snap, throws end zone on 2nd and 4. It's incomplete. Looking for the tight end Charles Clay. Kevin Johnson is there. And boy, they've gone right at the rookie Johnson, who's been so good for Bill O'Brien and Romeo Crennel and this Houston defense.
I don't know when these teams are going to find out that single coverage on Sammy Watkins just doesn't work. And that in times when maybe they've not been able to get him the ball is when you give a corner like Kevin Johnson some help with the safety playing over the top. I think he deserves double coverage. And now, down inside the red zone, they've got to make a play.
Johnson, the 16th overall pick in the last NFL draft. 34. Taylor's going to run it, do exactly what he wanted to do. Dances inside the 10. He'll set up a 1st and goal. Buffalo down to the 6. And Taylor in complete command of this offense in the first half.
As soon as they go empty and motion everyone out of the backfield, you got to alert that it's a quarterback draw. That's what you do with a player like Tyrod Taylor. And now in the final 2 minutes of the first half, J.J. Watt and company better be ready.
Well, till this point, Tyrod Taylor has been very economical with his pass attempts, only 6. But very efficient. That beautiful deep ball a moment ago to Sammy Watkins, 53 yards. And look at the success that they've had in the red zone, where this Houston defense has been so lethal over the last 4 wins. Watkins, bottom of your screen against Kevin Johnson, 1st and goal. This is McCoy. Incognito, the lead blocker, but excellent pursuit. McCoy still going, that little extra effort at the end. With a concern today, Salmon, how they would deal with J.J. Watt, who's had pedestrian numbers till this point.
Now you can't allow him to wreck your game plan, and so you cut the legs out from up under him. And then, you know what, that's one time he was able to get it to the backfield, make a play. But look, 3 linemen going to block him on this play. He looks a little bit tired, a little worn out right there, but you know he's a guy that will gain second energy. You can see to the left side, that's where they've aligned him up 8 times today, and they've moved him around very frequently.
John Miller, Chantrell Henderson starting right side of the line, out, direct snap. McCoy lunges inside the 5 inches closer to the goal line. You saw Tyrod Taylor line up at the top of your screen, so it'll be a 3rd and goal coming up as Greg Roman, Solomon, continues to go deep into his playbook.
Yeah, now here's what you got to do. In these situations, you're Greg Roman, you see him with that play calling sheet. Think players, not plays. Think Sammy Watkins. Think Charles Clay. Think Lashon McCoy.
Are you surprised that Bill O'Brien didn't use a timeout here?
No, I think it's okay. He wants to get a stop. He doesn't want to give him another chance right now and force Rex Ryan's hand.
And now Rex Ryan, you see him jogging down the sideline almost to the goal line to get the officials' attention as they will use their 2nd timeout.
Rex probably thought that Bill O'Brien was going to call timeout. He said, he's not calling it? Well, I'll call it. Talk about forcing the hand. It's always a chess match with these coaches. And look at Rex. He was like, okay, I'll go ahead and use the timeout. Figure out what we're doing here.
Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from New York. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower. I'll get you all the latest scores and highlights, plus a preview of Thursday Night Football coming up only on NFL Network this week. It's all next on the Verizon halftime report. Some of our statistical leaders in this first half, with Buffalo up a point over this red-hot Texans team.
If they have a tight formation, look for some kind of pick or rub play to get the receiver loose. But with this kind of spread formation, this is a play where if things break down, Tyrod Taylor can look to run it in himself.
Taylor from the gun, 3rd and goal, throws far side. It is caught. Robert Woods for the Buffalo touchdown.
Well, remember we said think players, not plays. Not only were they thinking players, they were thinking whoever we can get one-on-one against the rookie, Kevin Johnson. It's a mode of attack where you say, hey, it's their weakest link on defense. He's the rookie. Robert Woods, we expect you to win, and boy, does he. Excellent catch. Comes back to the football. Even though I thought it was good coverage by Kevin Johnson, Wood just outfought him for the football.
Both of Tyrod Taylor's touchdown passes, the first to Watkins and that one to Woods, have gone right at Kevin Johnson. 7 plays, 71 yards in 3 minutes, 27 seconds. Well, the play that made it possible was the home run pass on a 53-yarder. Taylor right down the seam to Sammy Watkins, and then Woods fighting his way against Johnson for 6. Well, you see where these two teams stand. Buffalo, good response after that devastating loss in Kansas City last week, and the Texans right now in that final AFC Wild Card spot. The two headliners so far, Simon, what have you seen?
Well, Deandre Hopkins is drawing a lot of attention and not able to really haul it in today. You see him put that one on the ground, only one catch. But then Sammy Watkins paying off huge dividends for his football team. Got the touchdown and then hauling in this 53-yard rainbow from Brian Hoyer to set the Bills up for their third score on the day. So right now, remember it was Watkins that said he learned a lot from DeAndre Hopkins at Clemson, how to run routes, how to be a pro. Right now, the pupil showing the teacher a thing or two.
Watkins called him his big brother, said he raised him basically at Clemson, taught him, teaching him how to be wide receiver, run routes and the like. And the pupil, as you say, has had the better of the matchup till this point. Another reminder, the Verizon halftime report comes your way next. JB and the guys standing by in New York. All the scores and highlights, plus a preview of Thursday Night Football on the Verizon halftime report. 30 seconds left. Texans will just take a knee and run it out. How impressed have you been so far with the Bills in the first half?
Been very impressed. They've scored touchdowns on 3 of their first 4 possessions. They've kept J.J. Watt in check. And this offense right now is running the football, unlike we've seen any offense run the football against the Houston Texans over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
And the Bills will receive the football to begin the second half. Tyrod Taylor, just 7 passing attempts in the first half, 4 completions. He completes 2 for touchdowns. Buffalo in front, 21-13. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Well, Super Bowl 25 matched the Giants against the Buffalo Bills as we stroll down memory lane. Some of the great Super Bowls played. It was a 20-19 game. It all came down to a Scott Norwood field goal with 8 seconds left, but that kick famously sailed wide right as the Giants went on to win their second Lombardi Trophy. And we are continuing our countdown, coming up on the final 2 months, hard to believe, before Super Bowl 50, and we will bring it to you right here on CBS. Halftime score here at Ralph Wilson Stadium, 21-13. The Buffalo Bills trying to halt this 2-game losing streak up by 8. Follow your favorite team all season long. Just visit itunes.com/NFL as we welcome you back to the NFL on CBS. Back inside our booth, Spiro Dedes and Solomon Wilcott's. Very impressive first half for the Bills, especially considering what the Texans have been like defensively during this 4-game winning streak. What about some second half adjustments?
I think, first of all, you got to start with the Houston Texans in terms of their defense, because they've got to continue to blitz control and contain the quarterback Tyrod Taylor. And then if you're Buffalo, you've got to continue to change up the run game, using the Wildcats, some reverse runs, getting Shady McCoy on the edge, and Tyrod Taylor breaking down the defense, using his leg on third down plays.
So much talk about the 2-star wide receivers. Sammy Watkins in his second season and Hopkins the third-year man. So far, Watkins has gotten the better of him.
Absolutely. It shows only 2 catches, but 1 for a touchdown. The other was a 53-yard rainbow to set up their 3rd score of the game. So certainly Watkins has had a greater impact on the game.
Well, you have to think with both of these teams needing this win, a little bit more pressure on a Buffalo team that has seen their postseason hopes take a huge hit, certainly after that loss in Kansas City last week, after that brilliant first half performance by their offense. Put up nearly 300 yards of total offense before the Kansas City defense took the game over. Bills fans wondered all week how they would respond, and so far so good as they lead this game by 8. Bills will return. This is Marcus Thigpen. Excellent coverage down the field. One of the other big storylines, Solomon, in the first half is how the Buffalo offensive line has dealt with J.J. Watt. What have you seen?
Well, we've seen them. They try to cut his legs out from up under him, try to get him on the ground, not only double team, but sometimes triple teaming him with an entire one side of your offensive line. Look, there's 2 guys right there. Just continue to keep what we call 4 hands on someone like J.J. Watt. But he's got to continue to move around on that defensive line and try to find his way into their backfield.
John Miller, their rookie guard, out a 2nd straight game for the Bills, and Chantrell Henderson out with that illness. Both of them unavailable today. 1st and 10. This is Lashon Mccoy. 11 carries, 72 yards in the first half, including a 32-yard run. And McCoy, knowing that he would have to take on a bigger workload today with Carlos Williams out with a shoulder.
Well, coming in, the Houston Texans knew they had to stop the Bills' run game. They knew they would have to stop Lashon Mccoy, but the Bills rushed for 100 yards in the first quarter of today's game. So they need to keep it up here in the second half if they're going to come away with a win.
Shotgun snap taken by Taylor. He hands to McCoy. McCoy will have his emotional return to Philadelphia next week. Of course, the Eagles' all-time leading rusher. And not only that, grew up just about an hour outside of Philadelphia, but all he's thinking about right now is getting what would be a huge win for the Bills.
Well, Greg Roman is doing a wonderful job of scheming the run game. You can see how effective they've been, scoring touchdowns on 3 of their first 4 possessions of the game.
Man, boys to the 6.
What does Roman dial up here on 3rd and 3? Taylor has time, then the pocket collapses. Taylor somehow escapes a sack, throws it down the field. Boy, what a play by Taylor, and that is what makes him so good. Brian Cushing had what seemed to be a sack, rips his chin strap, upset with himself as he misses the play.
Well, we said they had the blitz, but they also have to contain him. And we talked about controlling him and keeping him in the pocket. There you see Cushing, he misses. But once he breaks containment, I think the Texans were very lucky because Chris Hogan got open at the second level of the defense. Tyrod Taylor overthrew him.
Well, Cushing has had a very good bounce back. He is 6th in the conference in tackles. 4 years ago, was considered one of the top young linebackers in the NFL, but those 2 devastating knee injuries. Everyone thought he was done, but Cushing has bounced back and then some. 44 yards in the punt on CBS. Big first defensive stop for the Texans defense. And now what does the offense do here? Down 8. Opening stages, 3rd quarter. Brian Hoyer from the gun. Akeem Hunt, the rookie running back, flanks him to the left. Hoyer 13 of 16 in the first half, $121 and 2 touchdowns, completes on his first pass. Well, the Texans have had to get creative since the season-ending injury to Arian Foster, and that has continued in this game.
No, absolutely, and it means getting Hoyer out of the pocket, throwing the ball to an offensive lineman who was playing the role of a tight end, and then the Wildcat, the Jonathan Grimes. And look at this quick play. No one's over there covering Ryan Griffin. They caught the defense sleeping on that play. George Godsey, the offense coordinator, doing everything he can to try to manufacture points for this Houston Texans offense.
2nd and 3. This is Hunt, who had his most extensive playing time as a Texan last week. Only his 3rd game since being signed off of their practice squad. Brought down by Preston Brown, 6 yards and a first down.
Well, we talk about doing everything you can for this offense to get going. We talked about it. Some of these other receivers, Nate Washington, Cecil Shorts, Jalen Strong. Got to be able to go elsewhere with the ball because we know what DeAndre Hopkins can do for Bill O'Brien in this offense, but the other guys now have to start coming through.
First and 10. Hoyer with a screen pass finds Hunt. Injury update from the Buffalo sideline. Tony Stewart, their rookie linebacker who is starting today for the injured Nigel Bradham, has a back injury and he is done for the day. So a huge piece of news for Rex Ryan, and now it gets even worse. That's Stephon Gilmore now being looked at by the athletic trainers from the Buffalo sideline. We'll take a break. Bills up 8 on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Citizen Echo Drive, fueled by light, it never needs a battery. And by United States Air Force. Experience more at airforce.com.
Back in Buffalo, Stephon Gilmore walking off on his own power. But you see him kind of clutching at his side. Could be his shoulder, don't want to speculate. Here was the collision a moment ago, leading with the left shoulder against Hunt.
Yeah, he's coming in, leaning in right there, and Hunt was able to get up, but Gilmore wasn't. Huge loss if he can't make it back into the ball game because they have a pair of 2 of the best corners, but Leotis McKelvin, He's a former first-round pick in his own right.
Yeah, this is where the depth in that secondary becomes so vital. But keep in mind, their linebacker Tony Stewart is out due to a back injury. He was starting for the injured Nigel Bradham. On 2nd and 10, Hoyer, pocket starts to collapse over the middle. Never panicking, completes right at the 50 to Nate Washington. Good for 6. It'll be 3rd down coming up.
Now in the past, Lesean McCoy's been one of those corners that teams would want to put a double move on him because he will jump or short route. And so let's see if they'll try to match him up on Deandre Hopkins. And if you're the Texans and you see that kind of matchup, you got to give Hopkins an opportunity to make a play. Now he's to the right side of the formation where Ron Darby is on.
Hoyer's completed 9 straight passes on 3rd and 4. Far side, incomplete. Trying to locate Washington. And that Buffalo secondary was there. Lesean Mccoy, who's fired up, coming on for Gilmore, making a play.
Now, I think Nate Washington, if you take a look at it, he's going to be here. I think he comes open. I think it's just a high throw by Hoyer. Look, right there. You got to cut it loose right there underneath. Still good coverage as McCoy stayed on top, but that ball was thrown way too high.
One of the rare misses by Hoyer in this game. He's 16 of 20, including the 2 touchdowns. Another perfectly placed punt by Shane Leckler, the 16th-year vet. 45 yards to pin Taylor and Buffalo. Back when we come back. Here was Bills cornerback Stephon Gilmore walking off into the locker room during the commercial break. It's the left shoulder you see him favoring there. He does have some injury history. Missed 2 games last year. 2 years ago, missed the first 5 games of the season with a wrist injury. He's had a great year for this defense. We'll try to get an update as quickly as we can.
And Kevin Johnson is no longer in the game.
The prized rookie cornerback on the sideline for Bill O'Brien. High pass, what a catch by Clay. Just as he was kind of falling forward, reaches up, snatches it for a pickup of 5. Coming up tomorrow, don't miss the late show. It's Stephen Colbert. Stephen reunites with Steve Carell plus Jennifer Hudson. All new tomorrow, only CBS. Bills sideline confirming it is the left shoulder of Gilmore. No further update at this time.
Ready? Ready up.
Woods in motion. Taylor on the center on 2nd and 5. Here's McCoy. Following his lead blocker, Jerome Felton. Close to the 15-yard line. Good pursuit from that Houston defense. Merciless and dense. Take a listen.
Quinn Dempsey, 27, laid the hit on Lashon Mccoy. Even, look at him, a little woozy there. That's concussion protocol time.
Booby Dixon comes onto the field, lines up behind Felton. Taylor, little option play. Boy, you thought that he was going to pitch it at the last instant, but nonetheless, Taylor is able to pick up the first down. So now it's interesting. No Carlos Williams. McCoy being looked at on the sideline, so Booby Dixon is their running back.
Yeah, and I think had this been Lashon Mccoy, he would have pitched it. He's taken into account how elusive the player is at that position. We know Booby Dixon is a much bigger guy, but you're talking about Lashon Mccoy one-on-one outside. You're pitching that. And without Carlos Williams today, this really does handicap Greg Roman's run game.
Here's Mike Gillislee, the third-year man out of Florida. Former 5th-round pick to Miami. Had that big run in the first half. Play action from Taylor on 1st and 10. Slings it. It's caught. What a grab by Sammy Watkins. Going right at Quentin Dempsey. There is a penalty marker on the field.
Holding, offense number 82. This penalty be assessed half the distance to the goal. Repeat, first down.
That's the tight end, Matthew Mulligan, and Ryan can't believe it.
Oh, that really hurts. Watch number 82 right there against Jadeveon Clowney. Hands outside the framework of the shoulder pads, pulled him right down to the ground and right in front of the official. Going to nullify what was a tremendous throw from Tyrod Taylor to Sammy Watkins.
Would have been a 22-yard pass play and a first down. See the penalty numbers. It's a low number actually for Buffalo compared to what we've seen this season. On 1st and 18, that's an incompletion intended for Hogan, the 30-year receiver out of Monmouth University in New Jersey. as they continue to look at McCoy on that Bills sideline. And this is where the new concussion protocol that was put in place before last season becomes so big, with the independent neurologist on each side of the field.
I thought I saw him. He sort of stood up and then went back down to one knee. And then when he finally stood on his feet, he waved for them to come over, at least for him to come off the field.
Here's Taylor from the gun, 2nd and 18. Nowhere to throw down the field. They give chase with Clowney. Last instant, he gets it out and completes to Robert Woods. And now they say incomplete. Woods apparently was out of bounds. And nothing going right suddenly for this offense.
I thought Taylor could have thrown it to him sooner. Woods should have stayed in that position, but watch the right foot. See, he just steps out of bounds. No reason for him to do that. All he had to do is just poise himself and stay in the field of play while making the catch.
Tyrod Taylor, a moment ago, setting a new franchise record, most consecutive passing attempts without a pick, as he surpasses Drew Bledsoe in what has been such an efficient run for the Bills. 3rd and 18, and threw it behind the receiver. That's Gillislee. Well short of the first down. They needed the 16, make it the 26, I beg your pardon. A pickup of only 5, and Buffalo will punt after a very unsuccessful possession.
Yeah, the penalty on Matthew Mulligan on the holding call when he was holding Jadeveon Clowney really hurt him, because that was a 22-yard completion. Looked like the offense had something going.
Colton Schmidt, second punt of the quarter, and Keith Mumphrey stands deep inside his own 45. Signals fair catch. And once again, Hoyer and Houston will have a short field just inside their 45, down 8.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Honda. Hurry in for great deals during Happy Honda Days. And by Clean Crisp Coors Light.
Well, in the history of the sport, only 2 defensive players have ever won the MVP award. Alan Page, 71, Lawrence Taylor in 86. A lot of people feel like that Watt should have been the winner last year. There's Lashon Mccoy. They bring him into the locker room. We're assumed to go through the concussion protocol. Took a hard lick on that last drive, and that makes things a little bit more dicey for Greg Roman and the Buffalo offense. That's Polk on a pickup of 5.
I think we learned something last week from Ben Roethlisberger. He talked about it. Hey, he took himself out of the game. He said, hey, you don't want to play around with that stuff. We did see Lashon Mccoy stand up and kind of go back down. He appeared to be woozy, and I think the team, the league, obviously doing the right thing, putting player safety first. Going to take a look at him. And, you know, in terms of this Houston Texans team, they've got to get something going on offense right now in this drive.
Play action from Hoyer. Under some duress, 2nd and 5, takes a chance. He's got Washington, and it's broken up. What a recovery by Buffalo at the last instant. Darby was there, as was Rambo.
Oh, take a look. He's going to be right here. And then look at the defense. The safety as well as the corner. Darby. Bakari Rambo catches back up. This ball hung in the air. And look, Bakari Rambo was able to hang in there. And there's the hit on Brian Hoyer. Threw a nice ball, but just maybe not long enough for Nate Washington to run under.
Where do they go here on 3rd down?
3rd down, I think you go to your money guy. Remember, think players, not plays. Think Deandre Hopkins.
Hopkins quiet till this point. That pass is caught. Cecil Shorts inside the Buffalo 40. 1st down, Houston.
How about that? Jalen Strong's one of those guys that they've been waiting all season for him to become a more consistent component on this offense. We talked about it earlier, some of the guys that needed to make plays outside of DeAndre Hopkins at the wide receiver position.
Hey, Mantle! Mantle! 52!
1st and 10. This is Grimes, 3rd-year runner, coming over via free agency in 2013 from Jacksonville. Now a marker comes in, thrown right around the 34.
That one came from deep in the secondary, as if something happened on the back end.
Bills have told us that McCoy is indeed in the concussion protocol. We will update you as quickly as we can whenever we hear something further.
Personal foul, chop block, number 84 offense. 15-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's the tight end, Ryan Griffin.
That's the reason why it came from that back judge. He's looking at the tight end on every single play. Number 84. And if you cannot chop while the defender is engaged, can't go at the leg. Look, right there in the box. But he was engaged, and he went for the legs. That's an illegal block. Talk about putting in the rules for the safety of players. I think we saw Brian Cushing, his season came to an end on a couple of those plays.
Exactly right.
And so the fact that you've got to be able to protect players, and you can see the injuries today for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Stewart, the rookie linebacker, was starting in place of Nigel Bradham, who's out today due to injury. Stewart leaving the game with a back, so this defense a little bit thinner. Aided by the penalty a moment ago. 1st and 25 for Houston as they move back on their side of the field. Bills coming on the blitz. Hoyer set. Bakari Rambo leading the charge for Buffalo. Second sack of Hoyer today.
Well, with a name like that, you ought to be able to wreak havoc on defense. Take a look right here. Bakari Rambo beats Jonathan Grimes, who was the personal pass protector for Hoyer. But Rambo beats him, runs right through him to get the sack on Hoyer.
First sack of the season for Rambo, and only the 18th for this defense. 2nd and 33. Boy, you rarely see that number. Grimes trying to pick up some positive yardage. They credit him with a pickup of 4. 3rd down coming up.
Right now, this Houston Texans offense, they're not generating enough plays. They're not generating enough big plays, and Hoyer's trying to get the ball out very quickly. But look, 3rd, 29, what do you got there? Maybe you're trying to take a shot over the middle of the field. You've got to throw underneath the chains, hoping that someone can break a tackle and create yards after the catch.
Quick little bubble screen. This is Shorts. Ducks inside Buffalo territory. Down to the 44. Well short. Needed the Bills 27. Tackled by Corey Graham and Jerry Hughes.
That's all you really can do on that play. Try to get some blockers out in front of Shorts on the wide receiver screen and hope he's got a little bit of magic to hit that first down mark. But right now, if you're the Texans, you've got to get over there. You can see the quarterback, Hoyer, and offensive coordinator Gotze ready to have a conversation.
So these two defenses that were on their heels in the first half have answered. Leckler, another beautiful punt inside the 10. 36 yards from Leckler. Bills up 8 on CBS. Well, the Houston Texans are nominating J.J. Watt for this year's Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award. The Justin J. Watt Foundation, focusing on programs assisting today's youth, has raised more than $3 million since being founded in 2010. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award winner will be announced on February the 6th on CBS. And he loves to interact with the fans, even on the road, during his pregame routine. Bills offense back onto the field on 1st and 10. Lashon Mccoy back in the locker room going through the concussion protocol. So Mike Gillislee right now, a couple of days after being called up from the practice squad, Solomon, is the next man up.
Yeah, I want to go back to J.J. Watt because I just love the fact that when we talk to him about why does he come out and play, he looks like he's having so much fun. He said that in every stadium that he goes to, he just knows there's some kid who wants to see him play and play at a high level, and he thinks about it. It's a motivating factor for him.
Recall so many times going to the stadium growing up in Wisconsin and having that special feeling as a kid, seeing some of his heroes in person, and it's a responsibility he says he takes very, very strongly week in and week out. So suddenly this Houston defense that did not look good in the first half starting to resemble the play that we've seen over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, they're starting to get some stops. More importantly, you're starting to shut down the running game of the Buffalo Bills. And this is what Romeo Crennel wants. 3rd and long for the opposing offense. Facing now 3rd and 10. Let's see what Tyrod Taylor has in store.
Taylor has only attempted 12 passes till this point, 6 of 12 for 81 yards. He needs something here. 3rd and 10. Hit under the pressure. He's got Watkins. Makes the catch inside Houston 40-yard line as he goes right at Jonathan Joseph. 52 yards as they move the chains.
It's all about the double move. But if you can protect long enough, then you can make this kind of double move. Fake the stop and go, and Jonathan Joseph bites just momentarily, and then the speed of Sammy Watkins is enough to get deep. Second long ball he's caught today from Tyrod Taylor. Protection holds up just long enough.
Watkins had a 53-yarder earlier. That time a 52-yarder for his 3rd 100-yard receiving game. Gillislee inside the 35-yard line. Well, you rarely see the former All-Pro Jonathan Joseph get beaten like that. As you see the updated numbers between Watkins and Hopkins.
Watkins exceeded those numbers in the first half alone last week. 6 catches, 158 yards, all in the first half against Kansas City 1 week ago, and didn't catch a single ball. Wasn't even targeted in the second half of that game. They're not going to forget about him today in the second half.
Woods in motion. This is 2nd and 6. Gillislee before today had not played in a game since 2013. Only 6 rushing attempts in his career before this game today. But right now, having to step up as they continue to look at Lashon Mccoy, who is inside going through the concussion protocol as we speak.
Well, Gillislee is going to be needed to help fuel a rushing attack. To me, with the run game, it's the only way you can slow down J.J. Watt.
Good.
Taylor on 3rd and 4. They block what? Taylor going end zone. Robert Woods stumbling right at the end as the ball was being delivered. Andre Howell, the safety on the coverage, and you see Taylor hot at the end of that play.
Yeah, but here comes J.J. Watt. And look at this. 2 guys blocking him. Taylor steps up in the pocket. And Robert Woods, you've got to find the football. You can't trip over your own feet right here. Watch him turn around. He goes down. And that's what Tyrod Taylor was upset about. He was like, are you kidding me? I'm giving you a chance to make a play. And he goes down on his own and doesn't make the play on the ball.
Here's Dan Carpenter, first field goal attempt. 50 yards. Carpenter has the leg, but it's off the upright.
How about the Texans? They dodge one big time after giving up the big play to Sammy Watkins. What could have been a touchdown to Robert Woods, and they come away with no points at all because of the missed field goal by Carpenter. They allow the Texans to hang in there. Remember we talked about second chances? Right off the left upright. And O'Brien is feeling it. He knows. They've given his team another chance.
Well, could that be a big turning point in this game? But suddenly Dan Carpenter's confidence has to be shaken. We mentioned the point after he missed last week. This is certainly a difficult kick from 50, but 3 points left on the table by Buffalo. Chris Polk brought down by Corbin Bryant, who continues to start in the absence of Kyle Williams, whom the Bills placed on IR after that knee injury.
So much money spent in the offseason on this Bills defense. You get the sense that they've got to start being able to win games when they got a lead in the fourth quarter. As we're getting close to that, playing at home, you would expect this defense to hold up their end of the deal.
End of the third, we'll return to Buffalo. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Now, the magic number for Buffalo this season has been 20 points. As you can see, perfect when they have scored this amount of points so far this season, but nothing guaranteed here over the final 15 minutes with so much riding on the outcome of this game.
52.
Bill's telling us that Lashon Mccoy has gone through the concussion protocol and is available to return. Hoyer to start the quarter from the gun on 2nd and 10. Goes through his progressions, unable to locate shorts as it falls incomplete.
Well, you talk about this Bills defense and their ability to help this team collect wins down the stretch, get into the playoffs. holding teams to under 20 points or more seems to be the magic formula for them. And right now, the Texans have got 13 points. We're in the fourth quarter. There's enough assets on this defense for them to be able to hold the score down and come out of here with a win.
$70,000 plus bearing down to the Texans on 3rd and 10. A bullet from Hoyer completes right at the first down marker to Hopkins. And the officials say first down Houston. What a throw by Hoyer.
It is a great throw. And as you watch Sammy Watkins rack up the big numbers for the Bills offense, something tells me that DeAndre Hopkins is going to write his signature on this game before it's all said and done. Critical third down play, making a huge play for his quarterback, Brian Hoyer, to convert the third down.
We told you about Hopkins last week. Least productive day of the season. Only 5 catches, 36 yards in the win over the Saints. Today, only 2 catches for 17 yards. 1st and 10. Hoyer under pressure. Bryant trying to wrap him up, and Hoyer wisely throws it out of bounds to escape the sack.
Good pressure. There you can see. Here's the pressure coming right there. Bryant comes around and then comes right in the face of Brian Hoyer. He was looking to the side of DeAndre Hopkins, but the pressure by Bryant took the play away.
Bills lost Kyle Williams in week 7, so Bryant making his 6th consecutive start and 7th of the season. 2nd and 10, draw play. Hoyer to Blue, who's been very quiet today. Inches inside the 45 as we go back to New York in an update with James Brown.
Arizona in control.
Yeah, hey guys, Carson Palmer, 19 of 29, 2 touchdowns. This is the second one right here. That's to David Johnson. That's Carson Palmer's 29 touchdown pass thus far this season. That's number 1 as of right now in the NFL. They lead 17-3.
Talk about a strong season by him. Back to Spiro and Solomon.
Division races tighten up as week 13 continues around the NFL. 3rd and 6. Incomplete. Intended for Nate Washington as Rex Ryan's defense able to get off the field.
On these in-breaking routes, you cannot throw the ball behind the wide receiver. You've got to put it low and in front of him. See right there, it's tight enough coverage with 3 defenders on Nate Washington for him to have to catch the ball thrown behind him. In fact, those are the kind of passes that can be tipped and then intercepted on the back end.
Hoyer in the first half had 9 straight completions at one point. But so his accuracy has been a bit of a problem since then, as he is now 19 of 27, 32 yards in the punt. Buffalo by 8 on CBS as a penalty marker comes in at the end of the play.
An eligible member of the kicking team downfield prior to the kick, number 45. Buffalo has exercised the option of taking the 5-yard penalty at the end of the play. First down.
All right, that's Jay Prosh, the man penalized, so they will tack on some yards for Buffalo when we come back.
Watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50.
Now the good news for the Bills, Lashon Mccoy, who went through the concussion protocol just moments ago, back onto the field. McCoy, if you've just joined us, 14 carries, 83 yards. And what has been a big day for this offense. 1st and 10, Taylor set. Jadeveon Clowney. We've seen him with a couple of big plays for this Texans defense as they dump Taylor for a loss.
Yeah, he is capable of being, I think, a mass disruptor on the offense. In no way you're going to have Greg. You're going to have a tight end try to block Jadeveon Clowney. Too fast, too quick, too powerful coming off that line. He's ready to become a breakout player for these Texans.
Only his 2nd full sack in 14 career games played. 2nd and 18, this is the tight end play. Forced out of bounds just shy of the 20. 3rd catch of the afternoon for Clay. Well, fans, you can find the perfect gift for your favorite sports fans and friends, team and player apparel and gear for every sport, plus free shipping when you shop CBS Sports. Shop now, cbssports.com/gift. Talked about this Houston defense on third down. 26%. That would be a low for a full season since the 1991 Saints. 3rd and 10. Taylor approaches the defense over the middle through the hands of Clay.
Well, this is now the second time where we saw a receiver could have made a play for Tyrod Taylor. Look, as he comes in the open, just got to locate the ball. Vision on the ball and haul it in. Clay drops it. Robert Woods could have had a touchdown on the previous possession. He stumbles all over himself and doesn't haul it in. You can see Tyrod Taylor. He's growing frustrated.
Well, that would have been at least a 26-yard pass play. And Clay had some open room in front of him. Colton Schmidt's punt's going to take a Bills bounce. Boy, huge mistake by Mumphrey not fielding that punt. About a 20 yards difference, as it turns out to be a 64-yard punt from Schmidt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Your local Lexus dealer and their pursuit of perfection. And by Verizon. Better matters.
The late former owner of the Buffalo Bills, Ralph Wilson, immortalized just outside Ralph Wilson Stadium. His presence still looms so large over this fan base and franchise. Update from the Bills sideline. Stephon Gilmore, left shoulder, will not return. Yet another player lost for Rex Ryan. 1st and 10. Hoyer hit on the throw. What a catch by Hopkins. Still in play. Not only the catch, but the extra yardage at the end of the play. Finally brought down by Darby. He picks up 23.
All you got to do is just get it in the vicinity of Deandre Hopkins. Catch it like Beckham. He's got his own highlight reel. All you got to do is check on YouTube. He does this with great regularity.
This is 1st and 10. Polk, the 4th-year runner. Well, speaking of some one-handed catches, some of the handiwork from Hopkins this season.
Now he's one of the great wide receivers in this league. Look at that one in the Thursday night game, winning the game for the Texans. And look against Darrelle Revis. This guy is doing this all the time. Now, he is a great player and still have great things to come in his career.
On 2nd and 10, Polk again. Showing you that burst. He has looked very dynamic today in some limited opportunities. 9 yards in the pickup there to set up a 3rd and short, just shy of the 50.
And how about that catch by Deandre Hopkins? It seemed to have given this team new life, greater energy. They seem to have some momentum facing this 3rd and short.
Quick snap from Hoyer, play action. Hoyer stumbled for a moment, takes a chance, goes to Hopkins again, and he makes the catch.
How about this? The nerves of a cat burglar to go play action, then down the field to Deandre Hopkins on 3rd and inches. They go for more and convert on the play to Hopkins catching the ball over Ron Darby.
Hopkins had 2 catches before this drive, but now with the money on the table, the star 3rd-year wide receiver coming alive. That one from 29 yards. This is Polk again inside the 20. Well, you wondered how long Hopkins could be held down. Last week, didn't hear much from him, albeit in an easy win for the Texans, but this is where Hoyer is looking for his star wide receiver.
Yeah, and I think I said the last quarter, you can tell before it's all said and done, he's going to write
Yes, he did.
and sign his signature on this game. And George Gotti understands. Give him a chance, DeAndre Hopkins, to make plays and fuel your offense, and he'll come through for it.
4th in receptions, 3rd in receiving yards. At the end of the day, tied for most receiving touchdowns. Hoyer on 2nd and 7, looking right in Hopkins' direction again. He comes down and makes the touchdown catch. Brilliant play by Hopkins. 19 yards on the strike from Hoyer.
Wow. Now, I can tell you right now, if I'm a defensive back, I wouldn't be happy if I'm Ron Darby, because I'm thinking he pushed me. And Hopkins did. He used both hands to watch him push the defender by right there and then go up and grab the ball. I don't know that the official saw it. I don't see a flag on the ground. Using both hands to clear himself of Darby and haul it in. They say the hand is quicker than the eye, and I think that proves it.
What a drive from Hopkins, turning this game on its head, as now the Texans will go for the two-point try as they attempt to tie it with 9:12 remaining.
And the right thing to do is to go for two here.
Shorts in motion on the ground. This is Grimes, and he's in for the two-point conversion. And the Houston Texans come right back and have tied this game at 21. Deandre Hopkins putting this offense on his back. Houston marches 83 yards in just under 3 minutes. We are tied on CBS. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins, mentored by Andre Johnson a couple of years ago as a rookie, passes by his mentor with his 10th receiving touchdown catch of the season, a new franchise record.
Oh, we told you he'd write his name on this game, and boy, did he do it on that last possession. He had 3 catches for 71 yards on that drive alone. For the most part, had been quiet up until then. And you see Jerry Hughes is having a fit on the sideline.
A couple of Buffalo miscues left the door open for the Texans as Houston has tied it at 21. This is Thigpen, crosses the 20 and brought down right around the 23, maybe the 24, as Tyrod Taylor will come back onto the field. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS has a roundup of regional games. Some of you will see the rivalry matchup between the Steelers and the Bengals. Others will see Tennessee take on the Jets. Check your local listings, beginning with JB, Tony, Bart, Coach, and Boomer on the NFL Today. Well, this Buffalo offense so good in the first half, Solomon. It has been a different story since halftime.
Yeah, the run game hasn't been there for them. Tyrod Taylor's making throws, but there's been some missed opportunities by these wide receivers.
Taylor on 1st and 10. As time completes, Woods was wide open. Lunges past the 40, going right at Kareem Jackson. 17 yards and a Buffalo first down.
Kareem Jackson replaced Kevin Johnson, the first-round pick, the rookie. They bring in the veteran because Kevin Johnson had given up some big-time plays to Sammy Watkins in this game. They felt, I'm sure, that he was being targeted by this offense of the Buffalo Bills. You could see Johnson standing over on the sideline. Kareem Jackson in for the rookie.
Well, these young rookie corners certainly not infallible. Even Ronald Darby was picked on last week by Alex Smith in the Kansas City offense. And now Kevin Johnson taking his lumps. 1st and 10, pitch play to McCoy. That cutback maneuver that was so deadly in the first half, but that Houston defense, Solomon, has figured some things out with Romeo Crennel since halftime.
Yeah, they figured out how to shut off this run game, and now you get Lashon Mccoy back in the game. I love Tyrod Taylor taking control of that huddle. So you take a look at the numbers here in the second half. He was getting Chris Gregg lined up, had to scream at him to hurry up before they ran out of time. Right now, Tyrod Taylor in complete control of this offense.
But they need points in a brand new game. McCoy dances across the 45 ahead to the 47, brought down by Kareem Jackson. Picks up 5, and that'll set up a 3rd down and a big play call decision here for Greg Roman.
They got to get back to running the football, winning on early downs to create 3rd and medium, 3rd and short. And then for Greg Roman and his quarterback Tyrod Taylor, you get to 3rd and 5. He's got to move in the pocket. He's got to speed up his internal clock and then be able to move the chains. You can see they're very good today on 3rd down.
Taylor on 3rd and 5. J.J. Watt getting him around the ankles. There is a penalty marker on the play. Boy, Watt coming in like he was shot out of a cannon. There's also another marker back on the Houston side of the field. If it stands, it'll be the 6th consecutive game with a sack for Watt. Officials conferencing perhaps about that second marker at around the Houston 48. We've seen these conferences between officials get longer and longer, it seems like, every week. And now the fans here voicing their displeasure.
There are fouls against both teams that will offset. Holding, offense number 79, holding, defensive back. These penalties will offset. Replay, third down.
Big break for the Bills. Jordan Mills, the man penalized for the Bills.
Oh, look at J.J. Watt. He'll come all the way around. They baited Tyrod Taylor, hoping that he would escape to his right, and they set up J.J. Watt to come around, contain Tyrod Taylor, be able to make the tackle in space against a more speedy and fast quarterback. How about Watt making that play?
Sack, of course, will not count due to the penalty and the down being replayed. 3rd and 5. Taylor from the gun. Goes through his read, slings it near side of the field. Boy, nearly picked by Johnson. And he had plenty of open grass in front of him as the Texans defense able to get off the field nonetheless.
I love young players who understand that just because you have moments of failure in the game doesn't mean that you got to give up. Kevin Johnson, he's made of the right stuff. Look at him competing and contesting against Woods. Nearly had himself an interception there. We talked about the fact he gave up big plays early in the game, and look, Romeo Crennel is proud of the rookie. Still fighting in this game.
We talked about both of those two young corners, Kevin Johnson, Ronald Darby, both growing up in the state of Maryland, becoming high school football stars simultaneously, a short drive from each other. And both have had their moments in this game. All tied. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Best Buy. Win the holidays. And by Subway. Make your sub deluxe with 50% more meat.
Coming up Thursday night only on NFL Network, it'll be the Vikings and the Cardinals in a massive showdown between two of the top teams in the NFL. Thursday night football, Thursday at 8 o'clock, now only on NFL Network. Well, this one's shaping up to be an intense finish. 6:43 to play. Both of these teams in the postseason hunt. Buffalo as close to a must-win as you can get at this point. That is Hunt. The rookie penalty markers come in after the play. As Hunt now has started to hear his name called a bit more.
Holding, offense number 87. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
It's the tight end, Fedorowicz. Salmon now defensively after the last possession that we saw. Hopkins looks like he's ready to take the game over. What about the adjustments now for the Bills?
Yeah, if I'm Rex Ryan, if I'm Dennis Thurman, their defensive coordinator, I'm not going to allow DeAndre Hopkins to beat me. I've got to put two defenders over, one at the line of scrimmage to jam and disrupt his timing, and then one to play over the top and force the other receivers to make plays.
You see McKelvin line up across from him. This is Polk on 1st and 20. McKelvin, who fractured his ankle last season, long layoff, started this year on the sidelines, finally able to work his way back. But now keep in mind, Stephon Gilmore out with a shoulder injury, so McKelvin has to finish this game with 6 minutes left.
Yeah, we talked about the double moves that DeAndre Hopkins can put on you. If you leave him in single coverage, he can win so well on these 50-50 balls. To me, you've got to roll coverage towards him.
Second and 14. Williams double teamed. Hoyer takes a chance. Down the field. Broken up. Intended for Nate Washington. Penalty marker thrown. Bakari Rambo on the coverage for Buffalo.
Wow, Rambo saves the day on this one. McKelvin was beat.
Illegal formation. Number 63, who reported as eligible, was covered up on the outside of the line of scrimmage. This illegal formation is declined. Third down.
It's Kendall Lamb, their big tackle, who actually had a catch for a first down in the first half. And now field position so critical. 3rd and 14. Texans looking for some positive yardage to give their punters some more breathing room.
Yeah, we talked about George Godsey being very creative with what they're wanting to do. Again, Bakari Ramble's been good in center field, but if you get isolation one-on-one with Hopkins, to me, that's where you go with the football.
Darby at the top of the screen lines up against Hopkins, but they'll keep it on the ground with Grimes well short, as Bill O'Brien will send the punt team onto the field.
That was a very interesting play call. You get the sense they kind of conceded because there was nothing about that formation that you got from the Bills defense that led you to believe that a draw play was going to work. They didn't come screaming up the field. They were just controlled and waiting for something like a draw play.
Here's Shane Leckler, has been busy. 16th year punter out of Texas A&M. This is Thigpen's going to play it. Another flag thrown. Thigpen breaks the initial tackle, crosses the 35, close to the 40. Nifty return. Will it stand here? 59 yards on the punt and 16 yards on the return by Thigpen.
An eligible member of the kicking team downfield, number 28. Buffalo has accepted the option of taking the 5-yard penalty at the end of the play. First down.
And that is a big call against Alfred Blue. Coming up, the Subway postgame show. We'll send you to New York. JB and the guys standing by. Scores and highlights all coming up next on the Subway postgame show. And you just cannot overstate enough the importance of these final 4 minutes and 55 seconds. This is where Houston sits at second wild card position, trying to fight for the first place spot in the AFC South. But for Buffalo, Zalman, as Rex said earlier this week, basically in a position where they most likely have to win out to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, you talk about being able to close the deal on the playoffs. How about the Bills? The miscues here, but they could have had a touchdown. And Robert Woods tripped over his own feet, defended himself. The missed field goal by Carpenter, leaving points on the field. And then how about this drop by Charles Clay? Could have had a big play on that drive right there. So the last two possessions, they've squandered opportunities to put this game away.
Here is McCoy, draw play, trying to find the edge, and boy, he is chased down by Merciless. What a play by the Houston linebacker coming around from the back.
And now as you take a look at 3rd and 5, the Houston Texans, they're the best third down defense in all of football. And this is where Romeo Crennel, in my mind, you've got to be able to do what we said before. You got to get blitz pressure on Tyrod Taylor, but you better contain him in the pocket with some kind of delayed rush.
You see Watt in the 2-point stance right over Wood. 3rd and 5, that pass deflected and incomplete. Andre Hal upset with himself, felt that he should have had the pick at that multi-interception game back in week 6.
Oh, this was awesome. Watch. J.J. Watt comes around, and look, they set up Andre Hal perfectly to get the pick 6 on this play. Romeo Crennel dialed up one. It's kind of like playing offense on defense. We're going to blitz them, force a 3-step drop and the ball to come out hot, and then we're going to jump the passing lane for an interception, except Hal didn't make the catch.
That great performance against Jacksonville in week 6, the 2 picks, including a pick 6. Punt takes a Buffalo bounce inside the 5. What a punt by Colton Schmidt, their second-year punter. 45 yards to pin Hoyer and company back deep. Coming up Saturday, it's the game that stands all alone. All guts, all grit, all glory. And this year, the all-time rushing touchdown leader involved. The Army-Navy game. The festivities begin with college football today. Ralph Wilson Stadium in Buffalo, 70,000 plus. Certainly feels like a postseason game. Must-win situation for these Bills, all tied at 21. Hoyer from the end zone on 1st and 10. That pass incomplete. Off the hands of Griffin. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Great play made by Corey Graham. These safeties for the Bills have made some plays today. Bakari Rambo has saved some big plays, and that was a really nice play with Graham coming over to knock that ball loose.
On 2nd and 10, this is Polk. Little draw play. The playbook starts to thin out a little bit here, Sam. And as you know, if you're George Godsey, you just can't take the chances that you usually would, pin back deep the way they are here.
No, you're absolutely right. But now with a 3rd and 6, you can try to run some combination routes. And it has to involve, in my mind, DeAndre Hopkins. How about Ryan Griffin? You can get him one-on-one because he's been really good when working in space against a linebacker or safety.
Hopkins in the slot to the left of the line of scrimmage against Nikel Roby. Boyer on 3rd and 6. Has time. Completes. Now it's incomplete. Cecil Short's headed for a moment, and he takes a lick by Rambo.
We told you these safeties have made plays for Rex Ryan. And Bakari Rambo has been phenomenal in this defense over the last 3 or 4 ball games. Watch, he'll come across top side on Shorts, who gets open against McKelvin, but watch this hit. It's a legal hit because he used his shoulder to make the collision. And look at that. And then the head hit the turf. The back of the head hit the turf. And that's where I think Shorts is going to come up a little bit banged up, even though he's coming off the field under his own power.
Good sign for the Texans as they will look at Shorts over on their side of the field. 5th punt for Houston in their last 6 offensive possessions. Leckler from his own end zone gets it off cleanly. Thigpen from his own 44. Flag flies. Here's Thigpen up the sideline. Inside the 25. Thigpen finally brought down around the ankles. A potential touchdown saving tackle by Curtis Drummond. 43 yards on the return, but this one could be coming back. Special teams penalties for Buffalo have been a killer this season.
This one's coming back. They're trying to figure it out because the Texans have been penalized on this play for illegal man downfield multiple times today.
During the kick, holding receiving team number 33. This 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick. First down.
All right, so that negates an electrifying 43-yard punt return, and Ron Brooks has to be restrained. He is the man whistled on the penalty, one of their backup cornerbacks.
Hurts the team. Rex Ryan, these coaches, very unhappy.
And now all eyes on Tyrod Taylor as the offense back onto the field. Keep your eye on Brooks, number 33, bottom of your screen.
Yeah, right there. Wow. It looked like he was going down on his own. I saw him stumble and fall, but Brooks fell on top of him.
On 1st and 10, Taylor escapes. Watt still on his feet. Well, the mobility of Taylor as another marker comes in behind the play. There's been something to see. This kid has been just so elusive this season.
Holding, offense number 60. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
4th holding penalty on Buffalo today.
Urbic, right here. Look at this. Number 99, yeah, you might want to hold him because that's probably the only thing that works against J.J. Watt, right?
Urbic.
Right. Yeah, right now the Bills are going backwards, aren't they?
Yes, they are. 2nd straight start for Urbic in place of the injured rookie John Miller. 1st and 20. Taylor, far side of the field, finds Hogan. Crosses the original line of scrimmage after he picks up 12 yards. Hogan has been quiet till this point. First reception for him. It'll be 2nd down coming up.
It's a good play, Phil Hogan. You get 12 yards back. They were facing 1st and 20, and now it's 2nd and 8. So now they're back on track in terms of what you can use as a play caller. Their goal is to create 3rd, medium, 3rd, and short.
Bills have all 3 timeouts left in the 2-minute warning. Here's McCoy, 2nd gasp. He's got the first down and more. McCoy still going. Getting downhill inside Houston territory. Andre Hal on the tackle. McCoy, who went through the concussion protocol earlier, a little bit slow to get to his feet. He picks up 20.
Oh, take a look at this. This is just what he does. We talked about having enough shake to open up his own Smoothie King. This is it. This guy, he's tight roping that sideline though, but he's got moves for days. Very tough to corral in space.
And you saw McCoy step out of bounds, so the end of that play comes back to where his left foot hit the chalk. 1st and 10. This is Gillislee. Gets close to the 40-yard line. Now that will take us to the 2-minute warning. High drama in Western New York, all tied at 21. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Or at least on paper, Buffalo already within the field goal range of Dan Carpenter, who missed earlier from 50. 2nd and 7 from the 40. Taylor from the gun again, has time, delivers down the field. He's got Clay wide open into the end zone for the Buffalo touchdown. Massive defensive breakdown by the Texans. 40 yards on the touchdown strike from Taylor.
It's just well designed. Very clever use of their alignment because Matthew Mulligan, number 82, is going to come here down the field, but then watch number 85. Clay runs right down the middle of the field. No one picks him up. Comes underneath. Look at that. The linebackers watch him. The safety Dimps takes Mulligan, and he's wide open. Blown coverage. Charles Clay redeems himself after dropping what could have been a big play earlier in the game.
3rd touchdown catch of the season for Clay, but the first in 9 weeks as Carpenter misses the point after. Unbelievable. And that keeps it at a 6-point margin with under 2 minutes left.
Wow. Coming into today, Carpenter had missed 3 of 28 extra point attempts before today's game. And now he's going to miss a 4th one right here.
Missed one last week. And as you saw in the replay, the holder did not properly rotate the football, Salmon, so perhaps you can't put that only on Carpenter, but a huge mistake nonetheless as they leave the door open for Houston.
Buffalo having a tough time putting the Texans away today. There it is, laces in front. You don't want them that way. You want the laces the other way. So they got the ball down, held it correctly, didn't spin it. He's got to spin it. Colton Schmidt, you got some explaining to do. Schmidt's the holder. Carpenter. You think he'd looking down at Schmidt saying, hey, you know, you got to spin that ball, right? Laces away from the kicker.
Even when it's going right for Buffalo, they've got to deal with some kind of adversity. 6-point game, $1:53 left. With 70,000 plus raising the volume here at the Ralph. Another reminder coming up next, the Subway postgame show. We will send you to New York. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by. We'll take you around the NFL with some pivotal games here in Week 13. All coming up next on the Subway postgame show. Salmon, we began the day talking about these 2 quarterbacks. Unproven in so many ways. They've had success, but neither has been in this position. Starting quarterback in December, trying to take their team into the playoffs. Let's see how Hoyer responds here.
Very tough to do on the road in a hostile environment.
First and 10. Hoyer fires, deflected and nearly intercepted. Darby on the coverage against Washington. Rambo was there nearly for the pick.
Yeah, Darby did a good job. Watching knife underneath here. Look at that. He's able to come over the top, I should say, to keep Washington's hands off the ball.
You think Tyrod Taylor wants this game? 2nd and 10. Brian Hoyer, 6 career game-winning drives in his 7-year career. Over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Hopkins.
This ball's thrown low and behind Hopkins, who is open, coming over the middle. Watch him win against Brooks. Look, watch this thrown behind him. And if you lead him away from coverage there, he's going to catch it running. He tried to drop himself to slow down, but that ball's got to be thrown out in front, allowing yards after the catch. Remember, you're going to go for it on fourth down if you can't convert here.
Here comes Rambo and the blitz. Hoyer fires. Incomplete. Boy, he had shorts. Hoyer's throw off target. It'll be 4th and 10.
He had him, but he threw it over the wrong shoulder. And watch him break, look inside, but the ball's thrown outside. Shorts can't recover. Now on fourth down play, where do you go? In my mind, you got to get beyond the sticks, even though you have a timeout here by Rex Ryan. To me, if I'm Rex Ryan, I'm going to put double coverage on DeAndre Hopkins. Make sure he doesn't beat me.
It's actually a Houston timeout, so a big enough decision here that Bill O'Brien will burn one of his 3 timeouts. Decision time for that offensive staff.
Smart use of a timeout. It's a fourth down play here. You got to make sure that everyone's on the same page if you're Hoyer. And to me, it's really about the protection, but Hoyer's got to be very accurate throwing the ball. And in the second half, we've seen him miss on some opportunities.
Keep in mind, Stephon Gilmore out of the game with a shoulder. Nigel Bradham was out today. His replacement lost to a back injury, Tony Seward. But this Bills defense trying to hold on 4th and 10.
Looks like they're coming with the blitz.
Hoyer hit on the throw, and it is incomplete. Roby nearly had the pick. Hoyer takes a hard smack right on the release.
Rex Ryan is not going to allow a quarterback to sit in the pocket and beat him. And look, you're going to see right there, Jerry Hughes comes. And you can see Corey Graham comes, forcing the fast, quick throw by Hoyer. And then getting a hit on the quarterback. Rex Ryan loves it. Never seen a quarterback he didn't want to hit. This Bills defense needed to make a play. We talked about it earlier, that maybe it was going to be them, that they were going to be the ones that had to stand up and make a play, and J.J. Watt could do nothing but look.
There's so much talk about the lack of pressure from this Buffalo defense since Rex took over. 16 sacks entering the season, but they have gotten the pressure on Hoyer when they've needed it with a couple of sacks today. 1st and 10, that's McCoy. Texans will start to use their final 2 timeouts here. $1:28 to play, as the Texans now down to their final timeout.
They get the stop right here. It's not too late. I mean, they've got to come away. Did you watch the game Thursday night? Yeah, everyone, I'm sure there were some people who turned off the television set, and all Aaron Rodgers did was throw a Hail Mary, find Richard Rodgers on the other end of it. We know in the National Football League it's not over until all those zeros are on the clock. And in fact, I think when he threw the Hail Mary, zeros were on the clock, right?
That's exactly right. Buffalo basically needs 1 first down to put this game on ice. Second and 10. Here's McCoy. McCoy today, if you've just joined us, 3rd 100-yard rushing game of the season as a Bill, and the 26th of his illustrious 7-year career. Houston takes its final timeout. Saw in this game as intense as we could have thought and predicted going in. What a game it's been.
It sure has. To me, it's been about the Buffalo Bills and their ability to run the football. 185 yards rushing in this game. Can't say enough about the job Lashon Mccoy has done. Can't say enough about this Bills offensive line, playing without their starting right guard, John Miller, without their right tackle, Chantrell Henderson. The Jordan Mills at right tackle, Craig Herbert at right guard came in, done one heck of a job today.
Option play from Taylor. As a lunge forward to the 18-yard line. And now the Texans cannot stop the clock. It'll be about 40 seconds or so before they have to snap again. And, well, you have to wonder about Dan Carpenter's psyche. Missed an extra point in each of the last 2 games. Missed the 50-yard field goal earlier. As you see Rex going over to the officials telling them he wants the timeout with just 1 second on the play clock.
He's managing these timeouts today, managing the clock. A lot was said about the game management and not challenging plays 1 week ago, but Rex has been all over it today. He's coached one well of a game, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And, you know, we talked about their ability to run it now. You know, they could get a little bit better on special teams. You might say that this team is turning into a pretty good one, good, well-rounded team altogether here in Buffalo.
Well, Bill O'Brien and Houston's 4-game winning streak in serious jeopardy. Here's Carpenter from 36 yards out to try to put this game away for the Bills. Highest conversion rate on field goals in franchise history, over 89%, as Carpenter atones for the miss earlier. And Buffalo is going to win it up 9 with just over 30 seconds left.
Watch, laces away. Coach Schmidt doesn't have to tell him twice, right? Good kick by Carpenter.
Gutsy performance from the Buffalo Bills and frustration on that Houston side of the field.
Look at Rex. He said no more mulligans coming into today. He said we don't have many more second chances. We got to start winning, and we may have to win them all in order to get into the playoffs, considering the Houston Texans were a game ahead of Buffalo coming into today in terms of the wild card race. And now Buffalo will hold the head-to-head matchup in terms of the tiebreaker. So they've just got to keep winning. That's all you got to do. That's the only way you could really make that playoff picture become a beautiful one.
Texans had such a big opportunity today with a win and an Indianapolis loss later tonight to take over sole possession of first in the AFC South. But so they will be keeping close tabs on that game later tonight in Pittsburgh. Well, Buffalo from here will now take a little 3-game tour of the NFC East. They will head to Philadelphia. We'll be there for that game next week, and then to D.C. the week after before they close with 2 home games against Dallas and the Jets.
You think Lashon Mccoy will have something to say before next week's game against his former team? I'm sure he will. Kiko Alonso also is a player who was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, had been a popular player here on the defense in Buffalo, now playing defense in Philly.
I'm sure Rex Ryan will have some boisterous quotes setting the table for what would be a massive game next week for the Bills in Philadelphia. Subway postgame show is coming up next, plus some bonus coverage of the Giants and the Jets. A game still going on over at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford.
Brian Hoyer has himself 3 touchdown passes in this game. Hasn't played bad. When I talked to Bill O'Brien, I said, what do you want from Brian Hoyer? And he said, just to be efficient, be the leader that he is, to get us into the right plays at the line of scrimmage. For the most part, he's done that, but you get the sense just not enough.
Pass is caught over the middle to Griffin. Neither team with a turnover in this game. 14 yards on the pass play as Griffin is able to get out of bounds. Ron Brooks is the injured Bill. Touched on some of the injuries that they've had to contend with in the secondary. Already have lost Stephon Gilmore in this game.
He's trying to hit Griffin right there, and he ends up hurt. He goes down. Griffin's a big guy now at 255, 6'6".
You start playing in that 40, 30-degree weather, you know what those hits feel like better than most.
You never take a big man up where his power is most prominent. It's just the laws of physics, right? You know, Brooks is a smaller guy. Ryan Griffin, 6'6", 250. Why would you go high on that guy? And I'm not saying that you go for the legs at a moment like this in the game, but start taking a man on where he's most powerful. It's the little guy who's going to be left on the ground.
Athletic trainers continue to look at Brooks just in front of the Buffalo sideline. The Texans are going to fall to 6-6, so their 4-game winning streak will come to an end. Longest winning streak for them since 2012. It's an incredible turnaround orchestrated by Bill O'Brien. But as he talked about all week, they knew that they were running into a very desperate team here in Buffalo this week. And O'Brien's worst fears have been realized.
Oh, you're right. Bill O'Brien, he knew this would be a 4-quarter game, last possession type game, and knew that it would take everything they had. You just get the sense that, you know, as good as the Houston Texans are, that they're missing maybe just a few more pieces, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, where they need to give their quarterback, as we said at the beginning of the game, just give Brian Hoyer a little more help in terms of putting points on the board.
And boy, Salmon, you look ahead to their schedule now. Houston, next 2 weeks, home for New England, and then to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. And we'll have a pretty good idea over the next 2 weeks if this Houston team is going to get into the postseason.
Yeah, you get the sense that, you know, 3 of those last 4 going to probably have to win them. And Indy, obviously, being in their division, it's going to be a must-win, considering they lost the earlier season game at home to a Matt Hasselbeck-led Indianapolis Colts football team.
Ron Brooks will gingerly walk to the Buffalo sideline as they clutch his left shoulder.
For the first time all year, the Bills are going to win a game having given up more than 20 points. What we showed you earlier, if they'd given up 20 or more points, they have not been able to win any of those games.
Play resumes, 1st and 10 after the completion to Griffin. From the 45, low snap fielded by Hoyer. He keeps it underneath. That is Grimes able to get out of bounds and stop the clock with 14 seconds remaining. Now, Hoyer's numbers, again, never bowl you over, but today very efficient. 25 of 40, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, and did not throw a pick. It was not enough, however. Give credit to this Bills defense. Timely stops. As Buffalo will get their record to 500 at 6-6. Hoyer's pass wobbly, falls incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 6.
Well, we said coming in, this was it for the Bills. They had to win it, you know, because the division crown is out of their reach, being in the same division with the Patriots. But for Houston, a division title is still out there for them, as they hang ever so closely with the Indianapolis Colts.
Many of the fans have already headed for the parking lot as the post-game party has already begun here outside Ralph Wilson Stadium. That pass is complete to Shorts. He'll get out of bounds, stop the clock. And one more play for the Texans, which will be merely a footnote. Well, the wild pendulum swings with these Rex Ryan coach teams never seem to stop. Disheartening finish in Kansas City last week, losing to the Chiefs. So they rebound 1 week later at home as they will take care of this red-hot Houston Texans team.
I think they get They get one more shot. Looks like they may try to throw it at the end zone here.
Well, last time I checked, there are no 9-point plays in the NFL, but Bill O'Brien wants to get his money's worth here. Final play of the game. Hoyer going in zone, and it is intercepted. Picked off by Marcus Easley. We go to New York and James Brown.
All right, so the Bills improved to 6-6 with that win. Houston drops to 6-6.